Hey, how you doing today? I hope you're well. As you can see, I haven't had time to do anything today apart from this late hour, so it's getting a bit dark outside. Archie says hello. He's still on holiday, but he'll be back soon, I hope, to help me out with his videos. Today I want to have a very brief chat to you about cognitive dissonance. Now, this is a concept in psychology where we hold attitudes or beliefs or behaviours or moral concepts or anything like that, which are conflicted. So sometimes they don't actually are the opposite, but they just don't quite match up. I'll give you a very good everyday example of this is, for example, going to the gym. Now, I might feel that actually I need to have a healthier lifestyle and I need to exercise more. So that's a belief that I have or an attitude that I would like to have about myself, but the behavior doesn't match up. As in, I'm not going to the gym. I'm not controlling my diet. Some people say, I can see that. Watch it. The point here is that we, as human beings, are sometimes holding opposing beliefs or conflicting views on things. It's just the way of things. And we sometimes are faulty in terms of something that's called the observer bias. What that means is that if I do something wrong, I tend to blame the external, or I'm actually a very nice person, but circumstances made me do it. But when I look at the same type of fault in another person, I blame them. So they've done that because they have some sort of character fault, meaning that I will always assign blame to others, but to me, I will always find excuses from the circumstances I come from. What that means is that we as human beings are always trying to somehow balance our behaviors, our thinking, our way of life, our attitudes, and so on. So if we have thoughts or behaviors or views or whatever that are conflicting, our natural instinct is to somehow try to justify those things. So see, for example, in the gym case that I've just mentioned, my thought would very rarely be, let's just be honest, yes, you'd like to do those things, but you're not organized enough, or you're not motivated enough, or you are lazy, or somehow that's just not something you feel like you can do. What I would rather do, because it's a lot easier for my psyche, it doesn't cause quite so much consternation and anxiety, it'll be easier for me to tell my psyche, well, you're just too busy, or the gym you're going to just isn't quite right for you, or they don't have the right sort of program, or it's too expensive, or I don't have time, or the food that I can eat, I just don't have time to cook, and so on and so on and so on. If I was genuinely committed to going to the gym, to losing weight, to all this sort of stuff, I would potentially do it. But it's a lot easier for me to find excuses for myself, if you like, to try and correct that cognitive dissonance that I'm talking about, and actually actively act. And this is something we have to be very careful of, because having conflicting views about things and our innate desire to somehow rectify this situation causes anxiety. It potentially causes feelings of being uncomfortable, sometimes even anger, and an attempt to blame circumstantial happenings for whatever our failings are. So we've got to be careful with cognitive dissonance, and we have to be really honest when we talk to each other, talk to ourselves about certain things. Because if we always try to calm ourselves or reassure ourselves by finding excuses, then we'll always potentially look in the wrong place and we won't grow as a person. So sometimes, although as I said, we all have cognitive dissonance, this kind of fancy way of saying their attitudes don't match, and sometimes that will happen. It's much better to be honest about as to why it's not happening and to have a genuine, honest look at ourselves and say, okay, I'm not doing this because, or yes, I believe in this, but I'm not actually quite doing it, rather than try to constantly find excuses and to constantly find ways of forgiving ourselves for our trespasses, if you like. Because once we start with the good excuses, a lot of bad excuses come into play as well. And we will have the tendency to blame others for our own failings. And it's just human nature, It's just the same sort of thing. Well, I didn't throw that. I really care about the planet, but actually couldn't be bothered to wash the peanut butter jar, so I just chucked it in the bin. Right? That's a very simple dissonance. But then it's a lot easier to blame why does the peanut butter have to be this way, or why did I have to do the packaging so and so, whatever, than just say, something, I just couldn't be bothered to wash it today. So that honesty is very important when we deal with a lot of our mental health, because the more incongruent we are, the less genuine we are, at least to ourselves, then the more conflict builds up inside us. And conflict can lead to a lot of anxiety, can lead to a lot of suffering, can lead to a lot of other stuff. and potentially a breaking relationship with other people. I mean, how many times we've had this idea that, oh, well, as I said, using the gym example, I do want to lose weight, but I'm not going to the gym. And maybe our partner will say, well, maybe you should, and this and the other. And then we have a go. Then go, what do you mean? You know how hard it is for me because I can't find the time and so on, 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 blah, 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 blah. That's another classic example where we're not dealing with a dissonance ourselves in an honest and mature way, but we're trying to assign a blame, that kind of observer bias that we're talking about. So I hope that kind of makes sense a little bit. And I've had some experiences lately in the last 2 weeks in my social life, in my private life, where this sort of situation or this question has come, and I thought I'd share it. So, to summarize, it's okay to feel differently about things. It's okay to maybe feel one way or do another. Sometimes we have to. It's okay to maybe hold conflicting views because life isn't easy to figure out sometimes. But as long as we're honest with ourselves and we can appreciate why those things happen, and we appreciate the differences between those things and why they occur, and also see our part and our role into all this, rather than always try to assign blame or responsibility or whatever on external factors or on other people, I think then the risk of having that ingrained and inbuilt anxiety which this process creates is a lot lower. I hope that's been helpful, and if it hasn't, well, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Until next time, take care.